welcome back to our program. You're watching Morning Thailand with Bo and Golf. Now, of course, more situation down south. Apparently, as here in the capital, the situation is quite heated. Down south, the situation is quite damp, I would say. The problem is, at this point, there has been a warning already that there's more rain to come at this point. And you have to understand that apparently there's going to be more storm that coming into the country. So at this point, a lot of the authorities are quite concerned because don't forget, like I have already mentioned yesterday, that a lot of spots or provinces are still suffering quite badly in terms of the flood situation and continuous rain that it seems to get heavier and heavier. Now, giving you a little bit more updates here, they say that the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has already come out and talk about possibly more in terms of a lookout in terms of heavy rain on the 28th all the way to the 1st of December, excuse me. So that means that a lot of provinces, you're still gonna have to brace for possible flood because at this point they say that 11 provinces altogether that seems to might run a risk of seeing a little bit more heavy rain, namely ชุมพร สุราษฎร์ธานี นครศรีธรรมราช พัทลุง สงขลา ปัตตานี ยะลา นราธิวาส สตูล กระบี่ and Trang. So they say that at this point they still warn all these small boats from leaving the shore because at this point more of the storm is coming our way, especially they say that this new storm is called a cyclone storm Lehar. Now this particular storm actually was mentioned first by Kun Wishan Techa Thirawat, the Deputy Minister to the Deputy Minister to the Interior Ministry has came out and talked about this and said that possibly is probably will get to see the effect of it on Thailand on the 29th. So that means 2 more days from now. And a lot of the authorities are already planned a center that will be able to give out warnings prior before it happened, especially the center will be in Surat Thani, Songkhla, as well as Pattani. And they say that they have changed instead of early warning for 3 days warning, they changed it to 7 days. So that will give people a little bit more time if you need to remove your belongings or evacuate the area. And they say at this point, there are other spots that has been in the normal situation already, especially in Surat Thani province at this point. Water has already been receded, especially in Thachana, Chaya, and Kanchanadit districts. But the districts that have to watch out for flood is Ban Na Derm, Phun Phin, as well as Phra Sang district, because they say that there might be possible more of the river of water that flow from Nakhon Si Thammarat province going down to Tapi River, and that could create flood in the area. However, in Nakhon Si Thammarat itself, they say that the situation has getting better a little bit, but they still have to watch out, like I said. They say that as for Chumphon, Ratnong, and Krabi, they say that the situation has going back to normal already, but due to this particular storm, Lehar, you might have to watch out still. And for Chumphon province, there's only one district that has been inundated still is Lang Suan district. And in Songkhla province, 5 districts altogether are warned, is Ranod, Krasasin, Sating Prat, Singha, Nakhon, and Khon Niang, due to the fact that there will be a possible river, more water coming in from Nakhon Si Thammarat, Pathalung, as well as within Songkhla province itself, that could create a little bit more of a flood situation because Songkhla province is very close to is right by the ocean as well. That means that during high tide, that would create a little bit of a flood situation. And last but not least is in Trang province that has been warned. They say that even though there has been a barrier built already in Trang River, they say that at this point, a little bit more flooding in the area due to the fact that the barrier has been collapsed. And the residents has been warned to move remove all their belongings to the higher grounds, and 60 of the soldiers with 2 GMC vehicles have already get into the area trying to evacuate more people.
Okay.
So at this point, they say that this particular storm, that cyclone storm, Lehar, would set to the shore on the 29th. During this time, I would say, don't be too sure or certain if you see the water receding already. There might be more to come, so brace for that.
I think it's best to try to, keep close to the situation.
Exactly.
Especially, I think local radio is definitely one of the best sources as well that would be able, to give the information better than coming from maybe the government at the moment. So just be
Keep
sure
your eyes
that,
and ears open.
Yeah, that's
this point.
right. Okay, well, moving on and away from that now, taking a look at the situation of course, a little bit
Political.
on the political side, but this time not from anti-government protesters, but instead for rural doctors. And this case has been mentioned before, how there was a change in the system of their salary payment,
Right.
or the P4P scheme, in which the rural doctors were not really happy because it turns out that they will be working the same and they will be paid a little bit less.
Yeah.
And that's why they decided to give the Prime Minister's house a little bit of a visit.
That's the thing. It seems like the Prime Minister is in a very hot seat right now, both
Lots of people
inside the
want-
Parliament, at her house, and out in the street.
Yeah, she's been getting a lot of visits, I guess.
Yeah.
And this was despite the fact that they do know that she wasn't in her residence or
Yeah, I
her
think
house,
they
of
just
course.
want to make a point.
Right.
Oh,
It-
more whistles too.
And indeed, and this is the members of the Rural Doctor Society, or the RDS, and they held this whistleblowing rally in front of the Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawat's house to protest against the Public Health Ministry's new performance evaluation system, like I said, the P4P scheme, and also wanting to demand the minister who's responsible to resign. Now, the RDS president, Kriang Sak Wacharanukul led around 80 of the rural doctors to the Prime Minister's house, and I think the latest would be maybe around 300 of the members to the Soy Yotin Patana 3 to voice their demands. And this was amid the tight security, as you can see, that was definitely at her area, or in that particular Soy as well. And apart from that, just to mention, there were also some of the red shirts, or at least 300 of the red shirt supporters, who also went to the Prime Minister's residence as well. And they say that it's to give her protection, or give protection to the Prime Minister's house.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there you go, there they are. And of course,
That's
there were
scary.
also some of the police that were in the area. There were checkpoints at the very entrance and also the exit of the Soy, in order to prevent no vehicle could actually pass, and also no one could walk by or
Right.
walk past, in the premises
area.
as well.
I think that's probably good, because at this point, I think the situation could easily escalate to something that we're not hoping to see.
That's very true. But apart from that, taking a look at the demands of the RDS themselves, they want the Public Health Minister, Pradit Sintawanarong, to resign from office for introducing this scheme. And it assesses the doctor's performance on a largely quantitative basis. Now, previously, the medical personnel working in the rural or some of the remote areas, they received what's called the hardship allowances. And it's in a form of a lump sum, depending on the type of work that they basically did. But as of April the 1st, the hardship allowance was partly superseded by this new P4P system. And under this new format, medical personnel still receive half of their hardship allowance, but the rest is paid according to their performance. Now, the rural doctors are saying that at the moment, the allowance or the lump sum that they're getting is already, quite okay for them, because they're mentioning that their duty is already quite, overloaded. But this means that if they want to be able to at least maintain the same rate that they get with this P4P system, that means they have to overwork more than their overload that they're already doing. And that's why they say that, it's really not fair for them. Apart from that, the group accused the public health minister of damaging the image of the GPO, or the Government Pharmaceutical Organization, which oversees the national medicine system, and of interfering in the operation of the National Health Security Office, which runs the 30-baht universal coverage healthcare scheme. Meanwhile, they also voiced their opposition to the government's medical hub policy and demanded the public health permanent secretary, another person here, Narong Sahamedhapat, to step down from office as well. So 2 of these figures have been targeted. Apart from that, the protesters also blew whistles. They even burned images of both of them. And they started to, shout, get out and everything in the area. While Dr. Kriengsak said that his group will treat a patient with, kidney disease outside the premier's residence and may set up a field hospital at its next gathering. And they set the deadline at 7 days. If their demands are not heard or responded satisfactorily, then they will be setting up this temporarily kind of makeshift kind of clinic in front of the Prime Minister's residence.
Wow. All right, I think good news from that is that even though the red shirt protesters were at the scene as well, there's no clash.
Yes, that's true.
Because, that's mostly what I'm concerned about, because we don't want to see violence at this point. Now, at this point, it's not just us that concerned about the situation that has been ongoing right now. Also, a lot of other countries globally, because don't forget, at this time of year, Thailand is quite cool because technically it's our winter. And due to the cool temperature, it actually became a little bit more attractive for a lot of tourists to travel here. But 23 countries has came out already and warned their citizens perhaps refraining from coming into the country because they say that the situation is just deemed a little bit more dangerous and unstable. Now, this has been disclosed by the Foreign Ministry yesterday, saying that by surveying 68 countries altogether, it identified that there are warnings came out from 23 countries already about the political protests in Thailand. They say that the travel advisories notices has been issued by United States, United Kingdom, France, Japan, China, Taiwan, South Korea, and Singapore. And they say that at this point, only South Korea had updated information to the citizens on Tuesday, while the United States, France, Italy, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and China would just have updated their citizen on Monday. And they say that at this point, it's pretty much warned the citizen about ongoing political protests here in Thailand and perhaps avoid the area at this point. They say that the U.S. suggests that Americans should be careful in the area near the government agencies, while Brazil cautioned its nationals against visiting Grand Palace area surrounding the protest rallies at the Democracy Monument as well. Now, they say that the diplomat from 56 countries and representative of 6 international organizations were actually at the Foreign Ministry on Tuesday for a briefing, because there has also been a lot of probably questions, so the ministry itself have to make official announcement. So they say that at this point, they all know about the Internal Security Act that already in place in different districts of Bang Kli district of Nonthaburi, as well as of Samut Prakan and Lat Lum Keo district of Pathum Thani, and Nonthaburi province, that the entire province has already been under the ISA as well as the capital city of Bangkok. Now, they say that at this point, a lot of the diplomats were told that the reason why the ISA has been invoked, and also has been urged not to be alarmed. Now, this is Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs Kun Sihasak Phongket Keo, of course, has to come out and talk about this. However, at this point, I would have to say that if you're in the area, you probably wouldn't have known by now the demonstrations where it would be. They're not traveling at this point. It seems like they would still stay in one place, so it would be easy for a lot of tourists to perhaps refrain from going into certain areas, or even the locals. I mean, if you're not going to join the protest, then do not be in the area. And if you want to join the protest, what you can do is perhaps be a little bit more careful. And they say that as for China, there has also been a talk about warning and for all the citizens, if they want to travel, avoid the area as well. Now, if you're in the country itself and you're in the provinces and you know that a lot of people would like to come and travel, I would say in the provinces is still safe to come. It's just in the capital, and it was just the way of us expressing our political rights and ideology. So I think a lot of countries are quite understanding in terms of try to warn their citizens just not to be in the area. And perhaps Grand Palace might not be a great place to visit at this point.
Yes.
So, but in the provinces, we have 70 something more provinces for you to visit. So you can always do so as well.
Okay.
All right, with that, we're going to take a short break because we're going to give the next break quite a bit of a time because a lot of demonstrations to update in terms of Kun Suthep Theaksuban at the Finance Ministry, and I have a lot more updates in terms of the censure debate that was quite heated in the government house yesterday as well, so please stay tuned.